Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed Center Stage with Global Thought Leaders, a Right Source Global initiative. I'm Ajuna Sharawat, Chief Anchor and Editor at Global Thought Leaders, and I will be your host today during this Center Stage interview. Global Thought Leaders is a platform where industry titans can share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices with one another and future leaders. We hope to bring together this global community of distinguished individuals by conducting these center stage interviews. Great leadership lessons benefit everyone when we can identify, nurture, and apply tricks of the trade that have proven to be successful formulae for many. In a nutshell, we seek to distill these industry leaders' multi-decadal learnings and establish a knowledge-sharing community. Today, we have amidst us a towering personality of the corporate world, Dr. Balaji. Dr. Balaji is an HR leader and transformation engineer with around 26 years of experience in strategic HR with end-to-end experience in people, performance, process, programs, policy, and systems. He's currently the Executive Director and Chief Human Resource Officer at Critical Facility Digital Private Limited. He has many recognitions and awards to his credit. To mention a few, he was recognized as one of the most influential coaching leaders of India in 2021, one of the 100 most influential HR leaders in India by CHRO Asia's 7th edition. He has also been selected as Asia's 100 Power Leaders in Human Resource 2022 by the prestigious White Page International, which is a huge achievement as the selected 100 will be listed in Forbes magazine. Dr. Balaji has received Best in Class Coaching Leadership Award by World Coaching Congress in 2016 and the most influential HR leaders in India for the year 2016. He is an alumnus of OUBS Milton Keynes, UK, specialized in MBA, Strategic HRM, and alumnus of SIBER Kolhapur, where he completed MSW, Personal Management and Industrial Relations. He also holds a doctorate degree in social sciences and has researched on behaviors and managers' competencies. He's also a PCC level certified coach by ICF USA and is an executive and life coach with more than 4,800 hours of coaching for mid and CXO level. Dr. Balaji, you inspire many senior folks and budding leaders of the country today. We would like to know who inspired you? Who inspired you to achieve this feat?
Thank you, Ms. Arjuna, and thank you for having this conversation with me. I think, thank you everyone and who are my viewers here today and listeners. Hello to everyone. It's an honor and privilege to be part of this talk with you. And I look forward to have a meaningful and great conversation. So, Arjuna, okay, that's a valid question, that who inspired you? If you ask me that, if the question is that, who inspired me, the list are many, however, today, I would love to bring in some of the key people who have really influenced my career for the last 26 years. Okay, so the inspiration I would break down into two parts. The inspiration are of two types. One is the external inspiration, which I call it as an outside in, which has come from outside, and an internal inspiration, which I call it as inside out. Okay, first to begin with, it's my parents and the family and some few key managers. Now, since it is a conversation on the career, I would love to bring in some of the care managers who have really made a difference to my life. Okay, so in my formative years, I'm talking about the first 2 years of my career, rather than first 3 years of the career, I have met or spoken or over phone at least 60 to 70 industry veterans, industry HR veterans, and ask them very clearly what is that it is making them so successful in this in their field. Okay, and their wisdom, whatever I shared, I have documented it early. I'm talking about first 3 years of my life. I have documented it, and then I knew that what is That's something that I should do and I shouldn't do. Okay, so that piece of wisdom was available for me. And if you see, early in my career, I started with some of the great managers and truly installed in my mind what is called transformation. Okay, now I work for a great company called TVSE. Okay, it's a part of TVS Group. And huge impact on my career was from a person called Mr. Gopal Srinivasan, who is the managing director and the CEO of chairman of this company, and whom I still consider as my God. Okay, that's the first thing. So just imagine Mr. Gopal Srinivasan talking about digitization 23 to 24 years back. He used to talk about this digitization. So that, I think it was infectious for me. Now, his idea of organization development, whatever you call it as, was centered around people. He installed in the idea of being collaborative in nature. And how do I, at a workplace, some of the key initiatives of the place gave an edge towards my thought process, like Six Sigma, though the company was truly an TQM oriented company, but still we brought in a Six Sigma, the change acceleration process to bring in the different culture in the place, and the people driving through some of the neat, systematic way of MBO called managing by business objectives. Observing him, working with him gave me a lot of meaningful, platform for me to be very strategic in nature, bring out operational effectiveness to become business to become very good. The tactical execution, whatever you call for from the HR point of view, benchmarked various industries at that point of time and created the next practices in the organization. So full marks to Mr. Gopal Srinivasan, who is my God, in the beginning of my career and still happens to be in Arizona. Next, Arjuna, I was very fortunate to work with very, very truly renowned consultants in the world. I have worked for almost a decade with CK Prahalad, assisting him, and Professor Washio, Professor Suda from JUICE, called Japanese Union of Science and Education. Okay, so these are the people who did it. Now, after TVSE, when I came to Siemens, to Siemens, in the next one decade with Siemens, the whole idea of transformation was on scale. So it so happened that the 5 Ds was perfectly experienced by me and my team, which is called dream, deliberate, design, develop, and deploy. Anything of scale of lakhs of people, thousands of people, and lakhs of people like that. And it happened in a large scale. So the influence was thinking how to deploy programs across the world, where it is from the parent company to deploy it in every business of Siemens in India and elsewhere. That was the second. So the huge transformation in my mind was about the scale. So by that time, I understood that engagement will bring effectiveness. By the time, in early 10 years or 12 years time, I understood that only through engagement you can bring in effectiveness across the organization. Since you mentioned that I'm a PCC coach, yes, it's one of the neat thing I'm doing for almost 8-9 years now, coaching various people, and credit goes to my coach Sai Ramesh, who is MCC by himself. Okay, now there are few people I want to bring it out and call out their names because they have a huge influence on me even today. The first manager was B.N. Nagaraj, and a gentleman from Siemens called Kailash Nadkarni. And the third one is Mr. Ganesh Natarajan, who was the former CEO of Zensa Technologies. And I think these people were truly, truly strategic in nature. And I think they were, if you talk about Ganesh Natarajan, he was having the highest people connect, and then talking about organization, where it has to go, how it has to go, and all these things. That's all about my outside in. Now it will be interesting to know that what is my inside out. That is, what was inspiration for me. The only inspiration for me was my passion, which was from within. And if you say that, I'll quote something which is very important to know for all of us now. And if you are comparing yourself with outside, which is in nature, it leads to competition. But if you are starting with, when you do within, it leads to passion. I think these are the thing which happen. Now, finally, to end this answer, Arjuna, I have a simple mantra. I think it worked for me. Maybe it will work for others. It worked for my juniors. It worked for my team and everything. I always believe in trust, value, and service, which is a great company I come from. It's called TVS. So the first 10 years of the career, I believe that someone has to duck their head and learn, and get the knowledge. So first 10 years you spend like that and learn the knowledge, and then just follow the leader who is your mentor. Just follow the leader. Observe everything what he or she does, and just follow the leader. The next 10 years, I encourage, and I also did it, to take up a leadership position, inspire your team, stand by your team, develop your team, and be a leader. That's it. Okay. And take all the, if there is a failure, take it on your side. And if there is a credit, give it this credit across to your team. And there is, and continuous, along with that, in the first 10 years of learning continuously, you have it. The last piece of it is next 10 years and beyond would be just be a coach. Just create something which you can do for the organization. Impact on bottom line and top line will anyway happen. To happen that, create, produce leaders within the organization. I believe that I have, every year I have either through coaching or through my other means, I said that, at least 20 people you create. That's it. That's my 20 leaders you create within the organization. Or you can say that 20% of the top talents you create and then make them leader. That's a secret of my inspiration.
Thank you, Dr. Balaji. That's a great, great insight. Very inspiring to follow your insight, your passion. And the 30-year plan is follow the leader, be the leader, and create leaders.
Produce leaders.
Produce leaders
across the organization.
Yeah, amazing. It's really very inspiring to be here with you, and the way you give all the insights, with your full heart. I mean, you're speaking from your heart. That's so good. Now, could you please elaborate more on how significant has your experience been as a transformation practitioner in your role as an HR leader?
That's an interesting question. I think that will invoke all the, what is there inside me now, okay, for the last 26 years, what has been done, okay. So the first thing is that, I never restricted myself to the job description of any role what I played. I never restricted there. It was both vertical as an horizontal. It was always an invitation within myself to go and make a difference for the organization. That's the first thing. Now, how I did it, I only focused on the value proposition of whatever action I did with me and my team. So when I am talking about me, please include the teams which have worked with me, because they were the best who could do a magic, whatever we could do at that point of time. So I focused, and me and my team, we focused on the value proposition. Okay, every time my idea was that, how I enlarge my own job. That's a question I ask even today. How can I enlarge my own job? Now, titles are there. To be honest with you, titles, whether it is today, it is executive director and the CHRO, titles were always there. I started my career as the assistant personal officer, or whatever it is. Titles are always there. But the question is that how much of your actions are impacted in the organization goals? So that is the main question. So my question always remains the same: how I can enlarge my job, and how can I enlarge my team's job? Okay. Now, the second in transformation, which I'm answering all about the transformation as a practitioner, okay. The second is, it's all about the organization values, okay. So if some of the actions, values are the driving force, for any organization, okay, whether you are in a broomstick manufacturing company or an aircraft manufacturing company, every organization has the values, okay. So thereby, suddenly the behaviors becomes very important. Okay. Now, I have worked extensively as a practitioner to infuse these values in the DNA of the people, at least to start with me, myself, and my team. Okay, so that's the thing, because the secret is the values drive the behavior, and behavior will drive the results. If you want the right results, you need to have the right behavior in place. If the behaviors have to be right or expected to be right, you have to look back at the values. So values drive the behavior and behavior drive the results. That's the second one as a practitioner. Third one is very important, and it is true to even today, whenever. So my initial, I told you my initial interviews with the people, 80 people or 70 or 80 or people who were about to retire or retired, all these people, they had the very, very special place for culture. So every action in the company by anyone in the company, right from the top to the new entrant, it only shows, their action shows the formation of a culture. And the culture all depends and starts with leadership. Okay, developing leadership pipeline is important. I took that as a mantra. If the organization has to flourish for a longer time, you need to develop your people, and development of the individuals moving towards an edge of a leader is very important. And in the process, what becomes important even today for me also is the feedback. And feedback is feeding. For me, feedback is feeding back. Okay, and that transcends all the actions into a culture. Now, whether you call as a goal orientation, these are the big words what we normally use within the organization, whether it's a goal orientation or some of the behaviors like boundaryless collaboration, or mentoring as a culture, or coaching as a culture, or an excellent project management, program management, agile methodologies. Everything will fall in place when you talk about the culture in the place. Okay, and I worked really at a global level to make this as a difference to the businesses, whatever we have worked on. That's it. The fourth one is really important at this age, which is called systems. Those were the days where I talked about TVS chairman talking about digitization 20 to 23 years back. I mean, I think today every company is talking about it. Okay, so create a systems, build an excellent digitized system to enable the speed and excellence. Only two words are important at this point of time. Along with your people, ensure that the speed is there to meet the market, and excellence is there in every delivery for your customers. So systems plays a very important role in our process. Okay, now. In the transformation, I want to tell you one important thing I learned in a very hard way. If you start giving advice, no one in the world will listen to you. Only you have to look at their perspectives. Ask them what are the things. And this is listening and paying attention to what people tell in the transformation journey will lead to everyone's view on their own perspective. So please grab that. And my idea is to grab those perspectives and build upon that to see that, what is good for us and what is not good for us. In the perspective, I want to tell you, there are three categories of people in the transformation any company will have. People who believe that, I can't do. People who believe that I can do. And people who are there in the neutral. So the idea is, bring out the neutral people to I can do level. That's all. That's the only thing on the perspective level. Now, in the transformation, it's very interesting to know that people use some of those fads like performance management system and all this. Yes, it is very, very important. But what we have done for the few years which I've worked is that couple this performance management with a set of capabilities. These are the behavioral indicators. These capabilities indicate that whether the person is doing right or wrong, are expected to do this example XYZ they're expected to do, and what level it is. So I worked extensively on the capabilities so that the good performance management system, once it is rolled out, rest of the processes are taken in. It comes automatically, like a goal setting process, measurement to this whole set process, and talent assessment, talent pipeline management, succession planning, all these things will fall in place. The last one, I think, last one or two I will explain, and then I will close this answer. Now, desire to win is one of the key indicators. You have to install yourself. First, you have to motivate yourself that you have to win. and you have to install this chemistry or whatever it is, or this capsule is that desire to win. Winning or not winning is an outcome. When when the output is good, the outcome will be definitely good. So you have to look at this output as a desire. Invoke the desire to win. Whether it is it's okay. I used to tell my team, it's okay to lose the battle, but we should never lose the war. We should win the war. So it's okay to make mistakes, but end outcome should be there. The next one is very interesting, and I've been a fan for last 26 years. Skilling, upskilling, and reskilling. So I think everyone needs, even I need at this point of time, to go and meet the expectation what the chairman has. So if this requires a new skill, just go and acquire it. Now, one of the things, for example, in the whole process, you have to start learning some of the new things. Like, now the fad of this present age is everyone is talking about AI, ML, blockchain and all. We have been seeing in our own companies now the products getting developed on these platforms, using AI and ML and blockchain and all these things. My own company is doing that. It's an IT which is catering on this, using this important new age skills. So you have to start looking at a skill. Now, in the transformation, the last point I want to tell, which I did very neatly with my team, is the post-merger. The post-merger, a lot of things goes wrong because you are not integrating only the skills of the people, you are integrating the culture of the place. So the cultural integration becomes a very, 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 very important. So if once the culture integration happens, all your 5 Ps and 1 S will be in place. What are those? People, process, programs, policies, procedures, and system will all be in place. So look out for those cues which people are telling. And the last point is that in transformation, you have to be a master in communication. You have to do a communication at every juncture, because it has to reach to everyone in the organization. These are the things. Finally, in the whole transformation, I just have to tell you one important thing. You have to stand by your team. If there is a failure, and you need to stand up and take the responsibility and say, raise your hand and say that, yes, I failed. It's okay. Okay. And if there is a success, I think the whole reward has to be distributed with your team, because you have taken the responsibility. You can't go and shout at saying that I have done it and all things. The team has done it. So if the failure is there, I have stood by that for so many years now. I have learned in a hard way that I stand by my team with every failure and the success too.
Huge amount of learning from the answer that you gave. The last point that I can stress is that taking responsibility and sharing the reward.
Yes. True.
That's amazing. And keeping your communication best.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that is the only thing which is actually going to move everything.
Transformation happens there. Yes.
Absolutely. Dr. Balaji, what are the key personality traits that you imbibed and nurtured over the years that you believe have helped you in your growth?
Another interesting question from you, Juna. See, one, I don't know, frankly, I don't know what my personality is for others. But for me, it's all about a constant stream of change, both at a macro and micro level. The first one is a change. So we need to bring, that's why I'm possibly advocate more for a change within the organization, because the change only can bring a lot of other things within the organization. Right, that's first is a change. The second one, I think I am a huge fan of the word called growth. Okay, so growth, organization, people, and myself. That's a growth I'm talking about. Organization should grow, people should grow, and I also should grow. That's the second one, is a personality which I look at it. The third is the moment. The moment is all about risk taking. So the first is a change. The second one is the growth, and the third is the moment, which is the organization risk-taking, whatever it is. So let me give you a brief about my personality, whatever it is. I don't know, this is the feedback I've got it, and also I'm taking a liberty of sharing with you what is that. So when it comes to one of the good trait I have experienced myself, and others also tell me also, is that I am good at connectedness. So connecting, what is it connecting? First in my mind is a constant learning. The last 26 years, I've never stopped learning. One of the other things I've been learning, whichever I don't know, I go and ask the people and all things. That's because first is the constant learning and asking right questions. That's an important thing. Okay. Now I believe, Arjuna, I believe that there are answers everywhere in the world. There are answers. There are empty number of answers are there. But all that you need to know is that you need to ask the right question to get the right answer. That's, you need to get connected to that. So if you want to make a difference to anyone, and that connectedness, I think I developed, I think after my 5th year or 6th year of my career. Okay, so I started developing, looking inside and see how am I doing it. The second part of this connectedness is that, the feeling of connectedness will bring you that you are part of that project or a team. That is very, very important. Okay, because when you feel connectedness, there is a certain sense of responsibilities and accountability which will come in. If there is no connectedness, I can't even stand by my team. I can't think about winning propositions and all those things. Now, if you're talking about a best value system in the company, or at home, or anywhere, or with your friends, or other, this word connectedness will give you an edge towards that I am one of the important person in the team, and I want everyone to feel so that everyone are important, so that you bring the strong chain. Okay, at the least, what I don't want to become is the weakest part of that link, because you say that the chain is as strong as the weakest link. I don't want to become the weakest part of the link. I want to be as strong as to bring the team together. That's the first trait I think I've been using for the last few decades, or 2 or 3 decades. And ever since I was in the college, I used to be like that. That's what I participating in various cultural programs and all those things. So I thought that connectedness is one which is prominently showing up in my personality. The second one is all about the communication. You know that how the power of communication can make the people move the mountains. And I would say that communication, along with, is a strong being a learner in the organization or elsewhere. Learner, continuous learning. Now, communication is not just about how you speak. It's all about, many a times, you see that ideas dry up. If you've seen in the organization, people, their ideas dry up, the events become very static, and most of the people are bombarded with lot of information, and quite naturally, people have the less span of attention. And at that point of time, and whether it is a product feature, whether it is an idea or an event or a discovery or a lesson, communication plays an important role in believing that I can do a neat job. And this is what I install in the people. First of all, the communication within me is that I am the best and I do well, very well. The same language I translate with my team, saying that you are the best, you have everything, and that is the amount. But what is important for me is that when I do that communication, I do with great amount of humility. That's the lessons I learned in last 2 decades. I have also failed in this many a times, but I learned over a period of time that communication with humility is very, very good. The third one is very important, and I think you will be you will like this. The third trait is courage with conviction, courage and conviction, coupled with adaptability. I am very good in adapting to the organizations, this one, or with any place, whatever it is. I say my views very openly. That's one thing. Where I say very openly and with courage is that the subject which I know, and the subject I know that I know well, that is a subject which I'll speak with courageous and conviction. Rest of the things I am the last guy to speak, and I learn to absorb the things and all the things. Yes, at some time it has put me in a tight spot, but nevertheless life has to move on, and that's all about the conviction with courage what you speak. And the last one, I think it's my trait, personality trait. You will like this. The last 1 decade, I think I put more efforts to look at this trait very prominently in me, and it's all about here and now. So when I believe that, it's here and now is living in the present. What you do to this organization, what you're doing to the people who are here. I believe that, anyone who lives in the past cannot create the future. I am a strong advocate of that statement. Neither if someone is living in the fear, in the future, they are only living with fear and uncertainty. If you are staying here, here and now. It's so important because here and now is taking action. So taking action is so important. And possibly those are the few dominant personality traits I could see. And that's it. Any other thing, I think I'll let you know over a period of time. So these are the few things. I think adaptability, very strong adaptability, very strong communication, very strong connectedness, which is there, and the courage and conviction to speak with. And the most important is the communication across the organization and being a constant learner. I think those are the few traits.
And always being in here and now, in the present
always
moment,
being here
and taking action.
Yes, take action, take action. I tell my team very openly, I'm telling you, I tell my team, you are free to fail. There is no fear at all. You're absolutely fear to fail. That's you don't have any fear to fail. Just do it, but take action. Take action.
Yeah. Unless you take action, how will you move?
How will you move?
It will be static. Yeah.
Let's see the outcome later.
Right. Absolutely. Wonderful. What have been some of the global standards you've implemented in your professional experience, and how were you able to adapt them to the Indian corporate space?
I think the very, very good question. I think there were companies where I worked earlier and today also. They're all really global companies, which is that whether it is Siemens or Critical Facility, which is headquartered in Singapore, it is a spun-off company of Hitachi and all this. So they come with a rich legacy of doing it. Somewhere in all the 26 years of experience, I told you my job description was never part of my work. It was always a piece of paper, but I took out or ventured into or took risk of getting into something which was unknown to me at this point of time, and it was unknown, and if someone is knowing about it, he is my mentor. So that is a simple mantra I had. If someone is knowing, just he is my mentor and he teaches me that. So few of the things I want to elicit what I've done very clearly, because it's a personal question, it is all about me, here, let's keep in mind that when I say that I have done it, my team is also with me. So I use the word in Liberty, it is I. The people strategy across the organization is one I've done very neatly very neatly and implemented across the thing. So in a global scenario, whatever it happens, if in a local scenario, it has to be carried forward. You have to deploy those strategies, you have to deploy those execution plan, and then you have to deploy those best practices or create best practices in the company and all. Now, wherever I've worked, in the companies which I worked, I understood one important thing. The stakeholder expectations are not going to be, meager in nature. They are going to be highly demanding in nature. Okay. Now you have to do your HR work, customization to all those expectations. And when you do it in line with the global standards, your half of the job is done. The next of the people, people will be there to take it forward and then deploy it across the places and then get a measurement out of it to see that whether it is done or not. So the second one is all about the stakeholder expectations. That's truly a global, whatever expectation is there at a global level, you bring it to a country level and deploy it wherever it is. Okay. I think the next one is about a technology. I'm a huge fan of technology and huge fan of data. Okay. So technology, which is self-centered or for self-services of an employee, if you bring in and give that experience to the people that, yeah, it is good. I think I'm getting all the information. So your self-service, employee self-services have to be taken very seriously as a part of HR. Okay, it's not about giving gnan that we have to do this, we have to do that and all. Start using the technology to bring in the best processes and then have the experience of all the people, collect the feedback and then improve on it. So which I've done, it is all about the technology, employee self-services. The next one is especially on the leadership development and learning. I've in Siemens or in TVS, I worked briefly for Sanmar sometime. I worked for Professional Access and just taken over by Zensar later. Some of the learning center leadership development is something very neatly done. That's why I'm a biggest fan of these two words called leadership and the culture, because both these words start from the top. So that's the second one. I have failed many times to introduce mentoring in the organization, but I think I fairly succeeded because I believe that a mentor is the one who can bring the maximum output on any individual. So if you know something, you do it. Otherwise, you seek the help from a mentor. Mentoring. I'm a trained facilitator, and as a coach, I do the feedback analysis for the people. So I think feedback is something at a leadership level, it is a level playing field. So the feedback, introducing feedback within the organization, whether it is 360 or 180 degree or 90 degree feedback, this has upward feedback, whatever you call, this has been done very neatly. And I think that's one of, at a global level, all the things I'm talking about at a global level. Now, I had an opportunity to work with post mergers and acquisition at least 4 to 5 times. I had an opportunity to work for rebadging and then integrating the people, processes, policies, procedures, programs, systems, and all those things. I think the team me and my team have done, first let me put the team first. The team has done a very, very remarkable one, So at one point of time, in one of the company, my team, HR team, was voted as the best team in the organization. So this small award from the organization means a lot to me and my team, because when the stakeholders say that HR team is the best, unlikely in any other company, we are at receiving ends. So it speaks volume about the team, which I was heading, whatever you call. I was a part of the team, and they were much brilliant, much intelligent, much committed than me. So that's the thing. So thereby, I prove it wrong always that a king need not be the only person who is loyal to the whole kingdom. The rest of the people can also be loyal, and the rest of the people can also think about great things for the kingdom, right? Now, even today, I work on the talent management process across my companies, which is spread around 5 to 6 countries. Okay, so talent management programs is very important, because that's where you identify the talent, nurture them, nourish them, and bring it to the level where you're expected to play a role at least 2 to 3 levels higher than what they are today. So that's about the talent program. I already talked about a new set of capabilities which we developed and rolled out across the organization, across the countries too. One of the things personally about me is that I spend a lot of time in teaching. That's because every time you teach, you know that you know nothing. That's the thing. So to know every time something which is very new, and constantly keeping in touch with the things which is around me, I teach. The last one, I am a huge fan of data. I said that ruthlessly, I think we look at the data from the dashboard point of view and the scorecard point of view. And I'm a huge fan of these two words, dashboard and scorecard. That's where you know, and at any given point of time where we stand. So I think I've influenced in deploying the dashboard and scorecard across the organization. And notably, last point is that notably, we had a word called weekly business close. It means every week, whatever you promise, your weekly business close should be there. So your promise kept percentage, PK percent I call it, should be always 100 and more. So that's the thing. So yeah, your PK percent, whatever you promise in that week, if you achieve that, your PK percentage is 100 and more. So that's about the scorecard and the dashboard. So the conclusion for this question is, it's a great question, and me and my team, all more so with my mentors also, this is what I learned, is that we ask three questions. Who are we, and what do we want to deliver, and how do we do it? This is the three things. So who are we? We define who we are, and how do we deliver? What to deliver? How do we deliver? And the third one is that how do we do it? That's the thing. When we start asking these questions day in, day out, I think the outcome will be definitely there. And that's how I've been able to deploy many of the programs across the international standards. And connecting to the Indian corporate scenario, it just have to replicate. If you already have a best practice, you start creating the next practices. If you're not able to create an expert, at least benchmark the best practices and then do it. That's it.
Really commendable. Thank you for this elaborate answer, Dr. Balaji.
Thank you.
Dr. Balaji, you have been the recipient of many recognitions and awards.
Yeah.
However, we would like to know the top 3 challenges you faced in your journey and how did you overcome them?
Oh, phenomenal question. I think every time we get a chance to talk about the success stories, right? So sometimes we need to think about the failure stories too. And those failure stories need not have let you down, but the failure stories would have taught you a lot of lessons. So for me, I think I'll just divide this answer into a couple of sections. One is that I call it as strategic challenges and operation challenges. Okay. Now, there's one coupled with first one is that on selecting the right individuals. Okay, see, if you're talking an interview, or interview can be an 1 hour or 1.5 hour, whatever, you find a candidate to be very good. But when it comes to the execution of the P&L at a P&L responsibility level, then you have a lot of questions in there. The idea is that you should never blame the people. So that's the thing. You should never blame the people. It is not about pinpointing that person. It's about studying what is stopping him from delivering that P&L responsibility. So let's say 90% of the people are ready for that, that type of inputs from the people. So when it comes to people hand-holding, you should not let them go or let them be in a tight spot. When it comes to hand-holding, first, of course, is a goal. Goal setting is important. You monitor those goals, and then that's all very usual to talk about. I feel that it has been very successful for me is to tackle this challenge is to give a mentor. So if you give a mentor and if you give all the external help which is required to make him support and give him a set of reality situation to him, that what happens, even when the things changes for him, what type of responsibilities, additional responsibility he can take, or whatever he can do with an organization. So I believe mentors can make a difference. So they are, I'm a coach. I may not be a magician, but definitely we can do magic as a coach. So like that, a mentor can be very, very important. That's one challenge we can tackle. The challenge is that on selecting the right candidates and whatever it is. The second one is about measuring the contributions. See, here I think this is very, very important. You will find people who have achieved the goal, and you will find people who have not achieved the goal. But many a times the gray area is very big. Okay, because you don't know where these people stand, because you're not really put a measurement in place. And it goes by many, one of the challenge here for me as an HR person is that everyone will talk in the meeting with their own impressions. Okay, impressions are good, but data also should be coupled with those impressions. It's not just the word what you say about the people, or a description, or an or something, a metaphor you give to the people. It's all about data. Have the data and start measuring that, have a right feedback for the people. What I'm referring here is, it's all about inclination of the managers or anyone to catch people when they're doing right. It's not about catching people when they're doing wrong. The moment you if an idea is there of a manager to start catching people when they do right, a lot of rewards and awards and ceremonies will happen within the organization. And they will not talk with their blindfolded, a blind person describing like the elephant. They will not talk like that, or touching the elephant, describing the elephant like. They will talk with authentic data and their personal observations and the input of support, whatever he or she has been given to, come out of that problem. That's about the second challenge for measuring, contributions of the people. And there, I think the culture plays a very important role, and the data plays a very important role. So you need to have a dashboard and a scorecard for the department level, function level, area level, or individual levels, whatever it is. That's the thing. In my opinion, reviews should bring review of the situation. So if you want a review of any situation or the person, I think data coupled with an intention that, I'll catch people when people are doing right. So the more the more positive things people show it in the outcome. People will look forward that my manager is always looking for the location where if I do right, he will definitely get noticed, and he will appreciate that. So I want to capitalize on that psyche so that the organization can move forward. Since you asked the 3 challenges, the last one is about the data of information. Data is a new gold, which is there at this point of time. Okay, what have we done with the available data? Many time in my career, the data is not utilized at all. We collect the data, but we are not doing enough actions on that data. So whether right from the interview, if there is what we have introduced in a few companies is that when the candidate comes in, when the candidate is going, irrespective of his selection or not, I ask them with a specific question saying that, what's your experience of handling interviews in the company? Have they asked the right question? Have they dwelt upon the strengths of you as an individual? Were they only looking for the weaknesses or the failures from you? So those are the things, a small data, right from that level I'm talking about. It's not only data I'm talking about. Right from that level, whether you are having an MBR in the monthly meeting, monthly business review meeting, quarterly business review meeting, whatever it is, the way people speak, the way they open up the topics, the way they address the issues, the way they spend a lot of time on the problem and less time of the solution, all tends to give you a data. Whether you like it or not, the data is unfolding there. So what are you doing with those data? It's just going waste. So if an analyst in HR department or someone who is there who can pick up this data, put it in the nice way, and look forward for some of them interesting solutions, I think people will see a brighter side of the organization. That's the thing. So what we have done here in my present company is that when I came on board, I said that if standards are to be there, I took 2 of the things. That one is ISO 27001. We got it within 100 days of this company opening up. And we are almost in a journey of getting CMMI. These 2 standards, I think that somewhere the standards is set across the organization. On that standard, you build whatever you want. So you have a base, strong base as a culture. You have a strong beneath that, just above that culture, you have a leadership which is there, which is supporting articulating, educating, all the stuff of leadership which support you, democratic style leader, all these things. If it is there, on that you build whatever systems you want, whether you're an excellent quality system, whether you're excellent project management, or an excellent data orientation, whatever it is. AI, ML is all about how you use. If there is no data, what's the use of what's the use of talking about AI or ML here, or a blockchain? So this data information is another challenge I am constantly having for the last few years. So I think some of the systems what we have put in is giving definitely results. I mean, I'll take another last point to talk about. This is very important, is challenges for an HR person is always how the retention books looks. Okay, you have to have the retention of the good talent. Now, for me, the definition of the talent is very important, or retention of key assets. Let me put it like this, whether it is not only talent, but the key players and what all this. For me, the definition of the talent is the 3 C's in the company. One is the way the people exhibit their competence. The second one, the way the commitment is being exhibited by the person. And the third one, the way the commitment, using the commitment in the competition, the way he contributes to the organization. That is a definition of a talent for me. Talent is not just a person is doing well in his work and all. The way he uses his competence, which is an inherent skill, whatever he has developed, the way he is showing the commitment for the usage. And the third one, the way he is contributing. If everything goes well, he is a talent. So what we have done is that from HR point of view, the big responsibility, which I think it was a challenge for me, is that, see, when in a difficult time, how we educate the whole organization, how we sensitize the whole organization about the changing environments. We don't keep people informed that this is getting changed, that is getting changed. No, so we'll be prepared for that. We'll start blaming. That's an easiest thing what we can do. So in my business, what the challenge is that we need to tell people that what technical and social competence must be developed and demonstrated by all in order to attract the same talent, the same customer once again. So the challenge here is the definition of a talent varies from one manager to another manager. So to bring everyone in the same page is a challenge. So what's the solution? The solution is that you introduce a lot of talent programs, but you communicate to an extent that everyone in the organization understands who are defined as talents and who are defined as a key player. So when the whole world is understanding that talent and as a key player, definition, managers level, all the things, what HR can do, you just have to push people using the platform called skilling, upskilling, and reskilling. If you do this, I think the solutions are there. I think HR, when things go right, I told you need to distribute the price. And when things go wrong, you need to be there. The last point, on this, I want to give you one important thing. My managers, I understood from them that every manager who was regarded as a leader when I was growing up, I saw them. They were all givers. They were not receivers. They were all givers. So in the transformation role, I just left. There were days where I used to feel bad at my people are not giving me award and all this. I was talking about less than 5 years age as a professional, but I just transformed myself into a thing. I am not a receiver. I'm a giver. The moment you're a giver, you hold a responsibility across the organization, and you don't need a motivation. You need self-motivation for that. So as a role, it may not be, you might think that, what is this? Is classically talking about a motivation in a different form, but that's true. No one will come and give you an award unless you and your team are doing very well, and you are not alone in the game. And if you are a giver, you are a star, because people look forward for you, towards you as a leader. So I want to be a giver. That's the solution.
Because really, you've talked beautifully about all these approaches and your perspective the way you have looked at things and how you've tried to change. Dr. Balaji, as you are now a corporate governance expert, we would like to know your perspective and the benefits of having an HR leader on the board. What perspectives do senior folks with your level of experience and expertise bring to the table that add value and enhance the board diversity?
Let me break your question into two parts. One is that, what perspectives and benefits I can bring as an HR leader to the board, or anyone as any HR leader can bring to the board. Now, I talked about the stakeholder. The stakeholder expectations is all about performance, nothing beyond that. You have to fire all the cylinders at all the places where that, it only talks about the performance and across the places, okay? Across all the processes in the company, across all the areas. Now, on one hand, an HR leader, what an HR leader can bring his perspective and what benefits of having an HR leader on the board is, there are two ways of looking at it. On one side, you have people performance, you have right communication, and you have to work for results. That's on the one side. On the other side, it's all about aligning the processes, integrating the processes, and innovating the processes. So HR leader, if he's on the board, he can bring these parts to the table, right? Now, the second one is that if you want to have a lasting change, if any changes have been brought and if you want a lasting change in the organization, he is the one who can bring the assimilation of the three important points, which is called as a business knowledge. One part of the story is a business knowledge. The other part of the thing is a change. And the third part is the HR delivery. If you bring these three together, and I think he has an ability or she has an ability as an HR person to bring these three together to the place. That's the second point, why you need to have an HR leader on the board. Okay. And the third one is that HR by definition itself would have worked for a very long time on talent development and on the leadership pipeline. All these things will be there. Okay. So give him a chance, give him a chance to make a difference at the board level. I am at the board level of this company at this point of time. Okay, that's why I'm telling you, you can think about it, a mega program for that. Because one, he will work as a credible activist because he will look forward for the people from whom he can garner the support and make this, the influencing and relating changes within the organization. Second, he himself can look as a champion of change. He can think about the changes in the organization along with other people. So the third. Now, if you empower that HR leader, he can become a strategic, positioner. He can talk about where we are. And I talked about integration. He can be an integrator. And the third one is that in HR, I think I am more adaptable in nature, and so I can influence or adapt to bring the adaptability at the change level, which is great to the culture. The last point is you need to have an HR as a leader is to bring in, he can bring in mentoring at every level. He can run the program. That brings mentoring. Mentoring is not about one person giving down to other. It is about bringing a sense in ownership at every level within the organization. He is the one who can handle the people. Before anyone is falling, if he can lean on a mentor is the one who can lift him up, or he or she can lift him up. So it's a sense of ownership for me. That's where I think the HR leaders need to be on the board. Now, the second part of the story is very, very important. Now, you talked about diversity and all these things. I think when people talk about diversity and inclusion, I think inclusion first comes, then the diversity comes. Okay. Now, I'll give you a little statistics on the diversity. There's an organization called Society of Corporate Governance and Deloitte's Center for Board Effectiveness. These two people conducted a survey with some 150 people or 109 people or 150 people on the board. They said that 94% of the board were looking to improve the diversity. That means the huge demand is there for diversity still, right? Now, 61% of with the respondents were indicating that there is a gender gap and the priority is to fill this gender gap within So you need to have more women on the board, all the HR leaders on the board, like the board and all the other professionals in marketing. You need to have a spread. Okay, in that spread, 61% said gender gap is there. Okay, so there is a need for both the genders to be on the board. Now, 48% of the companies said that there need to be an increase in racial and ethnic diversity. And the last piece of it is that the question is that how to improve board diversity. That's a question you asked me, right? How to improve the. I'll give you the last piece, and then I'll let you to ponder on what you talked about. So I'll give you 3 important strategies to improve upon the board diversity. How do you improve the board diversity? Okay, now 77%, this is statistics I'm talking about. 77% of the recruitment of to the board were happening through referrals, and 33% companies used to look for outside help from other good organizations. So I'm just looking at the data from there. We are using it. So you need to that 77% or 33% go and refer to good organizations. Say, for example, Institute of Independent Directors are doing a great job in identifying the people who are potentially can become a board directors. Go and get it from people like you, or you do a search based on the credibility what people have done, and networks are important. Good. I want to recommend go beyond the network. That's all. Go beyond the network. So referrals can be there, and yet the right candidates from a search from outside can happen. That's the first thing. So improve recruitment methods. The second one is establish the training methods for the people. Training grounds are not there to become the candidates for that board level. So start looking at the emerging leaders, train them, handhold them, mentor them, coach them, and this one. The third point is that consider new skill sets. So don't recruit, I'd said that, don't recruit only people who are having one set of the skills. So spread all the skills. For example, if someone is talking about artificial intelligence or cryptocurrency or social media, whatever it is, the expert in those fields, or HR, whatever it, experts in those fields. HR means it's not about the one platform I'm talking about. Within HR, there can be an expert in performance management process, whatever it is. So get those type of people so that you know that they can make a difference. So consider new skills at this point of time. And also consider the neglected skills. The next one is that the neglected skills is that, I don't know, from somewhere I heard this, and our data, it may be true or not true, that finding a good director, in that obviously they are not giving the level which is expected to be there, called marketing and HR. Marketing can make a huge difference in selling your product and whatever it is. So include them also. And if it is people synthesizing thing, get an HR person on the board so that you can talk about more about these areas. So finally, I can only tell, invite HR to the board. He can make a difference to you. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Balaji, we have been building the Global Thought Leaders community for cross-pollination of knowledge and a community of independent directors for having a better corporate governance in the country. What are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by the RSG team?
Full marks to Zishan and Mr. Hevel Mehta. When I met them in person, they talked about the organization, Independent Directors Institute, and what they're trying to do, and what is the benefit. As I entered into that groove of knowing more, what does that independent directors mean? I think there is a lot of things which is being given as as a ready-made platform for the people to get into the higher positions as a board director, independent directors. the efforts, whatever has been put by this organization, can only result into two things. One, a greater way of visibility for the people who have not got even a chance to think about a board level position. And I think they are preparing for the people, preparing the people. And first is identifying, preparing, and then and getting it to a level where the next level of expectations are met. Correct? So this organization is a great thing. What they have done, in my view, is that they have dreamt about finding a better people across all sections of the society, which is called dreaming. They have deliberated upon choosing the people. They have done a research and choose the people. That's about deliberating. The second D is called designing and deliberating. They dream and deliberate, and the third one is design. They designed a beautiful program for all the people to know more about the corporate governance, more about it, ethically understand what is good, not good, and to your actions based on those actions. And that was the third D. And they are developing people with the mentoring. Okay, so a lot of good people are there in your organization, where they are coaches and mentors. They are developing. And finally, once you are ready, they are deploying into the market. I think all the 5 Ds you are doing very well. Thank you so much. And I think it's a great effort by your organization to meet the demand and supply too. That's another thing which is very, very important. There's a huge demand with the existing new law which is coming. So with that, the supply also is very, very less. So the demand and supply gap you are trying to bridge in. And in the process, you are bringing a sea change in the person who assumes the job. As I told you, from one company to another global company when I came, it was all about scaling. You can't think about small 5 to 10 deployment. You have to think about a large scale. Here also, this organization is looking at that mentality to make the person visibly, seen by everyone, both in terms of his capability and readiness for assuming the role of a board member, as an independent director on the board. So I think great job done by the organization, and full marks to all of you. And Zishan and Heval Mehta are doing a fantastic job. Please continue. A lot of people will look forward for your support and mentoring and hand-holding, and excellent job. That much I can tell.
Thank you for this very insightful feedback. And thank you, Dr. Balaji. Thank you, Dr. Balaji, for this tremendous knowledge that you have imparted us during this conversation. That was a fantastic conversation with you. I'm confident that your insights will inspire the next generation of leaders. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Thank you, Dr. Balaji, for joining us today on the call with Global Thought Leaders. Have a good day.
Thank you, Arjuna. It was fantastic, and it was a pleasure talking to you. And please accept our good wishes to the organization from CF Digital.